My mother-in-law wants to steal my husband, Ethan's ashes, even though he didn't want her in his life when he was alive. She ends up being arrested while attempting to take a set of fake ashes. My husband, Ethan, who is 25 years old, passed away. Right now, I'm waiting for his ashes to arrive by mail, and I'm an absolute mess. We were married for less than a year before he unexpectedly died. I created this throwaway account to help me with the grieving process, but I don't even know where to begin. We never fully prepared for this, but he had mentioned wanting to be cremated. He previously said he'd like some of his ashes to be scattered where he proposed to me. I planned to keep a portion for myself, give a portion to his parents, David and Brenda, and his sister Sarah, and then scatter some at the waterfall where he proposed. The ashes I'm keeping, I had planned to store them discreetly in the closet until I was ready for anything else. The truth is, I have a lot of trauma related to death, specifically with remains. I've seen a lot of death in recent years, so bodies terrify me. It's too much for me to handle. I told his 51-year-old mother, Brenda, what I intended to do, and she completely exploded. She told me that if I was just going to put them away where they couldn't be seen, then she should take all of them. And maybe she's right. Maybe he deserves better. Ethan had problems with his family even before we got married, especially after our wedding. Brenda made several comments about me, and he had very little contact with her, so I don't know what to think about what she's saying regarding the ashes. Perhaps she is right that he deserves better than to be stored away, gathering dust. The problem is, I don't believe she would ever return any of his ashes to me once I'm ready. I don't think she would give them back. She opposed us dating, getting engaged, and getting married. She opposed me taking him off life support and donating his organs. She also loudly opposed the entire funeral arrangement. During the visitation before the funeral, she was shouting about what she would have done differently. I don't know if she's just in shock, honestly. I don't know what's going on. I was just going to give her the portion I had originally planned until she made those other comments. When she was angry about the ashes, she called me to try and convince me to give them all to her. I didn't want to listen to her much, so I told her I couldn't talk. She immediately started telling me that I only knew him for a fraction of his life, that she gave birth to him. She said she has a right to his remains, and that I would probably remarry in a few years anyway. I'm hurt, but what if she's right? Should I give them all to her? Would I be a bad person if I didn't give her all of them, even if he would be in a closet until I'm ready? Update 1. My husband, Ethan, died unexpectedly a week and a half ago. In movies, you hear about waking up each day and, for a second, thinking it was just a bad dream. I don't think I truly understood that concept until I woke up day after day, and he wasn't there. I can no longer sleep in my bed, so I've been sleeping on the couch. I can barely cope. Everything around me reminds me of him. Even the house was his. I moved in with him. I don't know what to do from here. I don't know how to grieve. Update 2. Apologies if this sounds strange to you all. I'm still grieving and not functioning very well. I posted about this on another subreddit and someone linked it here. I'm glad they did because, honestly, I'm just angry now. My husband, Ethan, died a week and a half ago, and we were married for less than a year. My mother-in-law, Brenda, was absolutely awful the entire time. Before this whole hellish week, Ethan didn't have a relationship with her when he moved out. He started trying to reconnect, and we met shortly after. He told me everything, and I was open to having a relationship with her because I wanted to try for him. He loved his mother, but she crossed so many boundaries. Ethan was the golden child, and his sister Sarah was the scapegoat, so that dynamic was a mess. Brenda was very inappropriate with Ethan, making comments about how lucky I was that he was so handsome, and how she wished his father had been so tender and affectionate. Just weird things. When we got engaged, he expressed a desire to move back to where he grew up. I had never lived outside the tiny little town where I grew up, so I took the leap. He bought a house there, and I moved in with him a few weeks later. It was perfect. Brenda desperately tried to ruin it, dropping by the house unannounced all the time. It was the night of his birthday. We weren't having birthday sex yet, but we were clearly planning on it. She knocked on the door for 20 minutes before continuously calling us. He finally answered, and they argued because he wouldn't let her in. A lot more crap happened while we were engaged. This is only a fraction. When we got married, she showed me the dress she planned to wear. It matched our colors, was very understated, and frankly, I was surprised. Anyway, on the wedding day, she showed up in a white dress. My sister-in-law, Sarah, a blessing, knew about the plan. Instead of stressing, she brought different dresses for Brenda and accidentally spilled makeup on the white dress. It caused a lot of problems for Sarah later, but I'll never forget that act of kindness. Anyway, Ethan died. It was a sudden and traumatic death. He was declared brain dead, and I chose to donate his organs. Brenda threw a fit the entire time. She kept saying her baby was being murdered by his wife, that there was a chance medicine could save him someday. She also claimed his body was being torn apart and called organ transplant recipients selfish. It was insane. While planning his funeral, I tried to consult her. I tried to be kind and help her grieve too. Ultimately, I had the right to plan the funeral. Everything she wanted, I knew Ethan would have hated. She didn't want him cremated, but he did. She wanted to choose a coffin with elaborate flowers and other over-the-top things. He would have laughed at that. In the end, I chose to respect his wishes and have him cremated. During the funeral visitation, while we were at the front talking to people in line, her comments were utterly unbearable. Every time someone passed by, especially his friends, she made sure to say that she didn't choose anything. She criticized the flowers, the photos. She made passive-aggressive comments while my brother, who was very close to Ethan, spoke at the funeral. I planned to divide the ashes among his father, David, they are separated, his sister, Sarah, and myself. I would take part of my portion and scatter it at the spot where he proposed to me. We didn't have a death plan, but he had mentioned this once before we got married. Regarding the portion I would keep, I'm not ready for it yet. I have trauma related to death, specifically with remains, especially bodies. I'm not ready to have them on display, but eventually I want to. She asked me what my plans were, and I told her, scatter some and keep some until I'm ready to display them. That was a mistake. My act of supporting her grieving process was a mistake. She has been harassing me non-stop ever since. She says she deserves all the ashes. She raised him, knew him longer. She deserves all of them. Brenda says I'll receive a portion when I'm mentally stable again and makes incredibly rude comments. To hell with that. I refused. I was his wife, so I'm going to decide. Since his funeral, Sarah has been staying with me. Brenda has come over at 6 a.m., demanding that I tell her when the ashes are arriving. She constantly calls Sarah, trying to get her to secretly reveal the arrival date and convince me to leave the house so Brenda can come and take them. She's absolutely insane. Sarah is over 18, but she lived with her mom. She can stay with me for as long as she wants. I just don't know what to do now. I don't know how to deal with her, and I'm afraid this will never end. Edit 1. I can't cut off contact entirely until I manage to get Sarah to move in here. Brenda would take it out on Sarah and ruin her belongings. I refuse to let that happen. We are planning to get Sarah's things out while Brenda is out with a friend for a few hours, and then we're getting out of there. Ethan's group of friends is also helping us. Edit 2. I have a video doorbell and security cameras on the back of my house. I'm going to call the funeral home to make sure they send the ashes to the correct address. I know Sarah would never tell her when they're arriving, especially since she showed me the messages and cried over all of this. I'm just working on helping Sarah move out too. His life insurance, the house, the car, basically everything goes to me. When we got married, Ethan made sure to get that all sorted out. It was something he took very seriously. He didn't want his mom to dispute anything, so now everything goes to me. I have a lawyer in case she tries anything. I have recordings of some calls and her unannounced arrivals, plus screenshots of the things she has said to me. To hell with her. I'll likely also look into getting some fake ashes in case she tries something. After reading comments and debating today, I've come to the conclusion that I do not want Ethan's ashes to be with her. She made his life a living hell. I don't want him to rest with her. He deserves peace. I understand it's not actually him. They are his ashes, but symbolically, I cannot do that to him. I cannot place him with the woman who caused him so much pain. Update 3. I'm in an intense situation. To start, I live in Oregon. My husband, Ethan, passed away a week and a half ago. His mother, Brenda, is actively trying to make my life worse. She has been harassing me, showing up at my house, calling me, and trying to emotionally abuse me. I tried to be kind to her after he died. I tried to involve her, but she has pushed me to my limit. She has made comments about my mental health, intimidated me in public, and keeps saying that I killed him because I took him off life support. I am very overwhelmed. I'm in a stage of grief and simply operating on autopilot. Everything feels blurry, like I'm underwater. Still, with your help, I've been thinking, or at least you all are thinking and I'm reading, that I need to be prepared in case Brenda tries something. One of the ideas you proposed is to get fake ashes, that is, not Ethan's, and set a trap for her in case she breaks into my house. As I mentioned before, I have cameras, but I don't want to risk the real ashes when they finally arrive. Even if I could catch her stealing them, I don't know what she might do with them before the police could recover them. It even disturbs me to think about what she might do with them. And I don't mean scattering them somewhere she wants or hiding them, but something much worse. From what I've talked about with Sarah, with Ethan when he was alive, and my own experience, I don't believe my worries are unfounded. So, is it illegal if I leave fake ashes or a fake urn in my house to catch her breaking in? Is this something I can use as evidence for a restraining order? Please refrain from grieving widow comments. I am fully aware that I am not mentally stable right now. I have a lawyer. I have legal rights to the remains. I don't have to share them with her if I don't want to. I'm worried that if I don't get ahead of this, she will really break into my house when I'm not home. She has threatened to do so. Edit. There was a comment that I really needed because of the amount of advice it contained. Thank you. The funeral home informed me that I was the legal owner of his remains, and my lawyer and I are working on the paperwork to put his house and car in my name. It's something he put in writing before. It just needs to be transferred to my name. Frankly, I'm overwhelmed. He handled a lot of the finances, and dealing with all of that plus his death is just too much. Regarding informing her that she's not welcome, she knows she's not welcome through messages, and I have it on recording. I spoke to her through the video doorbell when she was constantly ringing it one day, so she knows she's not welcome and that I will call the police. She's been warned, so if she tries anything, she can't use the excuse that she didn't know. And no, I don't plan to set booby traps to hurt her, just to get some fake ashes as a decoy. As for completely cutting her off, I can't fully cut contact considering Sarah's things are still at her house. Besides, I've tried, but she has harassed us non-stop. In fact, maintaining a line of communication seems better while we try to sort out the rest. Getting a restraining order now doesn't seem feasible because there isn't enough evidence for one. I have a lawyer handling the legal aspects whom I've consulted about this. I've also consulted with the police. We asked if they could be present to get Sarah's things out of the house, and the short answer has been no. So cutting her off will only make things worse and will likely lead to her destroying Sarah's belongings. We are still waiting for the precise moment to get them out of the house without it turning into chaos. Update 4. I feel like my post here the other day got some attention. Screw it, I'm going to call my mother-in-law Becky because I hate that bitch. Anyway, I had errands to run earlier. Ethan passed away and I've been neglecting almost everything. I had to take care of a few things. I went to the grocery store and bought food to cook for myself and Sarah while she was napping. I came back, and there was a note taped to my back door. We always use the back door because it's closer to the cars. Our front door has a camera, and you can see a small part of the entrance. I picked up the note and opened it. It was a confession, in quotation marks, from Ethan's secret lover, also in quotation marks, and a graphic list of things. It becomes even more disturbing knowing who probably wrote this because of the content. The summary of the letter is a confession of an affair, sexual acts, and weird stuff. It also describes a birthmark as oval-shaped on his left buttock. It also said, "Don't even bother looking for me, you'll never find me," at the end, which I'm laughing my ass off at. I don't know Becky's handwriting, but I don't need to. What I found disturbing was the things she wrote. The thing is, I know Ethan never cheated on me. I know there was no affair. So how did this mysterious lover know about his birthmark? Well, it was the woman who wiped his bottom when he was a child. This bitch is truly trying to make me hate my dead husband, so I'll give her his goddamn ashes. The doorbell camera shows her bright red car. The backyard camera showed her placing the note before letting out an enormous fart. I'm laughing hysterically. So on Monday, I'm going to talk to my lawyer to get a restraining order. I think this will be enough for one. She has been told multiple times that she is not allowed on my property. If anything, she's just making my life easier. Edit. I stored the letter and video in a safe place because I can just imagine a judge's face learning that she wrote this about her own son to gain possession of his ashes. She just handed me the best possible evidence for her to get nothing. If she wants to take me to court to get the ashes, a judge won't be pleased with this either. Unfortunately, you can't hear the fart, you just see her getting into position to let one rip. The letter is in a safe place with my lawyer. My lawyer also has the video, but I have multiple copies in the cloud. She can't just break in and steal them. I also sent it to all my family, Sarah, and some friends. This is as a backup copy and so they can see what she has done. I'm thinking of emailing it to her sisters as well, along with a photo of what it says. For those who say I could give her a part of the ashes, that it's just a little bit, I guess you haven't fully read my other posts. Here's a summary. I was originally planning to. After reading hundreds of comments and discussing it with Ethan's sister and his closest friends, I've decided no. She is not getting his ashes. Sadly, Ethan was abused by her and spent most of his life tormented. I am not giving his remains to the woman who hurt him and continues to hurt his wife and family. I'm going to let him rest in peace, which is what he deserves. Update 5. I'm having problems with my dead husband's mother, Becky. I'm constantly paranoid. Ethan is goddamn dead, and I'm a 22-year-old widow. He's gone. He's just gone forever. I'm sorry if I sound too blunt, but it's all I can think about, and I'm torn apart inside. My period is late, and I don't know if it's due to stress. I can't bring myself to take a test because I don't want to know the answer. I'm not ready for news like that right now. I don't want to know if I am or am not. I just want to forget everything for a long time and wake up one day feeling okay. Update 6. Well, it happened. Sarah moved in with me. I have Ethan's ashes and I have a protection order against Becky, my mother-in-law. I'm still sorting out the complicated details, but I'm ready to start healing. Becky tried to break into my house. She had been stalking me and driving by my house. I picked up the ashes from the funeral home days earlier. Did you know the U.S. Postal Service provides boxes for shipping cremated remains? I preferred to pick them up myself for security. Anyway, Sarah took my car to run errands. I filled a box with things to make it heavier and left it on the front porch. Like clockwork, Becky arrived. My phone alert went off, and I watched her celebrate her victory and grab the box. She returned to her car. This is where she opened it and saw that it was just useless trash instead of ashes. Then Becky had the brilliant idea to try and sneak in through the back door because she thought I wasn't home. I called the police and they arrived while she was rummaging through my living room. Most of it is a blur, so I don't have many details of watching her get arrested. I was immediately granted a protection order against her. She's currently out on bail. I won't go into specific details about the charges or the court date to give myself and my family some privacy. My neighbors are very good friends of mine and have been helping me keep an eye out. So far, Becky's boyfriend has driven by. I can't prove it's him, but I suspect it. My neighbor was at my house cooking and cleaning for me while I took a nap. Her husband was doing yard work for me. A man in Becky's car drove by very slowly a few times. The neighbors called the police, but they couldn't do anything to prove it was him. The restraining order also doesn't cover him. So, I'm exhausted. I just want to truly start grieving without having to worry about a crazy mother-in-law. Knowing how crazy she was from what Ethan told me was one thing. Experiencing it firsthand at the lowest point in my life is very different. Edit. I still haven't taken a pregnancy test. My period still hasn't come, but I'm not ready. I know that waiting won't make things better, but I think about the possible results of that test, and I don't think I'm mentally prepared for that right now. Simply not. It's just something someone in a situation like this could understand. Whether I'm pregnant or not, I feel it will be too much. Update 7. A small update for those who wanted to know how moving Sarah's things out of Becky's house went. Well, I wasn't there, but Becky wasn't either. Sarah thought that given my situation, it was much better to avoid putting me at risk. So Sarah, with the help of Ethan's friends, did all the work. There were about 6 of them, so it didn't take them more than 15 minutes to grab all the important things. Sarah told them what they needed to load, and they quickly put everything into one of their cars and left. We knew Becky wouldn't be around for a few hours, but we didn't want to risk it more than necessary. A neighbor could call, her boyfriend might show up, or she could simply come back early. Some of Sarah's things were damaged, but we almost expected it. Nothing of value, just clothes and such. Update 8. A final update for all of you who have worried about me and asked for one. I am in a better place mentally, receiving help, and with the situation with my mother-in-law, Becky, resolved. To start, I'm not pregnant. My period returned sometime after I last updated here. In one of my medical checkups, I spoke about it with my doctor, and she told me it was normal with all the stress I had been through. She also recommended I seek help to manage it better. And I did. The news that I wasn't pregnant was difficult. Being pregnant without Ethan, without my child ever knowing their father, terrified me. But it also hurt not to be. not to have a part of him with me. That, Ethan's death, and other issues in my life are what I've been working on with my therapist for some time. No, I won't say it's easy. Yes, I still have a lot to work on. Sarah and I moved out of the town. In part, it was difficult. Putting Becky aside, Ethan's friends and other friends I had made were a good support system. But as two traumatized people, as we were, by the memories and by Becky, the path of moving away has proven to be a wise decision. I wish we could have healed in that place, alongside the people who loved Ethan and love us. But with Becky there, I don't think it would have ever been possible. That was demonstrated by what she did, which led us to the decision to finally leave town. I could have lived with the memories of Ethan, but not with Becky there. Now, to what actually happened with Becky that made us finally decide to leave. I think I said it many times in my posts, I'm sorry, but quite a bit of time has passed, and I'll do a brief summary here. Ethan's ashes would be scattered, and another portion would be divided between Sarah, David, and myself. Becky would also receive a portion, but you know what happened. David doesn't live in town, so I took them and delivered them to his house. He hasn't been a source of problems for Ethan, Sarah, or me. That's why I've never had to mention much about him. While I can understand why he's no longer married to Becky, he must have a lot of stories to tell. Both Sarah and I decided not to keep the ashes at home until we figured out what to do with them, the remaining ones that hadn't been scattered. Sarah wanted to keep them to have something of her brother, and I was waiting for the opportune moment to have them in a place in my house without feeling overwhelmed by it. Instead of simply hiding them somewhere in the house until that happened, one of Ethan's friends, who has a hunting cabin in the mountains that we are sure Becky doesn't know about and couldn't reach, stored them for us. We almost expected Becky to do something, although we didn't expect her to take her time. It took her almost 2 months from the first incident, the one that gave us the restraining order, for her to make a misstep. That misstep was sending her boyfriend to our house when she knew we wouldn't be there. We were at a barbecue with one of Ethan's friends, and then she called him to help him search. He is seen entering the house and destroying the cameras. I think he thought they were those cameras that have a memory card, which they do. What he didn't know was that they had an alert function and also save clips to the cloud. When I received the alert, I called the police, and we returned with some of Ethan's friends for protection. By the time we arrived, Becky and her boyfriend were sitting in the back of separate patrol cars, one in each vehicle, and the officers explained what had happened. The boyfriend had entered to look for the ashes, and when he couldn't find them, he called Becky to help him. She didn't want to approach the house due to the restraining order, but they believed that with the cameras destroyed, there would be no risk, and they could find them together faster. Part of this was confessed during her arrest, and part was confessed at the subsequent trial. Her boyfriend was very talkative once his rights were read to him, and it was explained what could happen to him for breaking into a house, and that there were videos of everything he did. Becky also violated the restraining order and entered a house without the owner's permission. There are also charges for destruction of property, the cameras and other things they destroyed while searching, and Becky, in addition, resisted arrest. Becky was sentenced to 1 year and 3 months in prison for all charges. Her boyfriend, although I don't know if they are still together, received 7 months. We didn't even wait for them to get out. Sarah and I sold everything and moved. We knew all of this would repeat. I bought a new house and Sarah lived with me for a while until she managed to move out on her own. Since then, we haven't heard from Becky. We talked to friends we still have in the old town, but we only know that she has been seen because she got out of prison some time ago, and that's all. Now, I have a place in the living room for Ethan's ashes, and Sarah has taken hers. We are glad that on that day, the ashes were not in the house when Becky and her boyfriend broke in. Perhaps they would have destroyed or scattered them somewhere if they had found them earlier and had escaped the police long enough to do something with them. That is all I have for you all. I hope you're doing better. You are.